The air conditioner, more sun than clouds, breezy, high 85 to 90 degrees. Tomorrow night, see clouds, breezy, low 70 to 75. Tuesday, mostly sunny, high 90 to 95 degrees. And that is your 3-day weather forecast on Bloomberg 1130.
Now a sports update on Bloomberg 1130.
Now this Bloomberg sports update, the Yankees get doubled up in Boston by the Red Sox 8-4. They'll finish the series on Sunday. The Mets win again. They knock off the Padres 5-1. J.D. Martinez hit 2 home runs. In golf, Bryson DeChambeau 7 under par after 3 rounds at the U.S. Open. That's your Bloomberg Sports Update. I'm Dan Gutowski.
To qualify.
Welcome back. During the G7 summit with world leaders, President Biden addressed the ongoing battle between Israel and Hamas that has inflamed divisions among many Americans.
I've laid out an approach that has been endorsed by the UN Security Council, by the G7, by the Israelis, and the biggest hang-up so far is Hamas refusing to sign on, even though they have submitted something similar.
Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna of California, a top surrogate for the Biden campaign, who has been critical of the president's approach to the war, joins me now. Congressman Khanna, welcome back to Meet the Press, and happy Father's Day to you as well.
Happy Father's Day to you and to the viewers.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Hamas has balked at every ceasefire proposal, as you have witnessed. They are holding out for a complete withdrawal of Israeli troops and a permanent ceasefire. According to the Wall Street Journal, the leader of Hamas called civilian losses in Gaza necessary sacrifices. What more do you propose President Biden should be doing if Hamas will not agree?
Well, the president has set forth a clear vision, and I support the ceasefire proposal and release of hostages that he set out. The UN has endorsed it. The Arab League has endorsed it. We need Egypt and Qatar to put more pressure on Hamas. Hamas is saying, well, you can't have phases. You need everything done on phase 1. That's unrealistic. There needs to be more pressure. But there also needs to be more pressure on Netanyahu. Benny Gantz has been all over Israeli TV saying that Netanyahu has been undermining a hostage deal, and it's a philosophical difference here. Benny Gantz is saying prioritize the hostage deal and the peace. Netanyahu is saying they want to destroy military all of Hamas, and I don't think that's achievable.
Let me ask you specifically about Benjamin Netanyahu. By invitation of Congress, Netanyahu is going to be speaking before a joint session of Congress to take place next month in July. Some Democrats are suggesting forms of protest. What do you think that should look like, and will you attend his address?
I will not attend. I said that if he wants to come to speak to members of Congress about how to end the war and release hostages, I would be fine doing that. But I'm not going to sit in a one-way lecture. And I agree with Representative Clyburn. I mean, how he treated President Obama, he should not expect reciprocity. That said, I think it should be polite, that we're not going to make a big deal about it. He's obviously addressing the Congress, and there has to be decorum.
Let me ask you about the big picture as it relates to foreign policy right now. Former President Trump and his allies have made the argument that October 7th, the attack on Israel and Russia's invasion of Ukraine, both happened not when Donald Trump was in office, but when Joe Biden was in office. Why shouldn't Americans consider that argument when they're deciding how to vote this fall?
It used to be that we were bipartisan on foreign policy. I mean, you can't blame President Biden or Trump for Putin's evil. I mean, Putin's invaded a sovereign country on Ukraine. And now the question is, philosophically, are we going to stand up for Ukraine's integrity? I mean, Putin's peace deal on the table, he wants 1/5 of all of Ukraine. He wants more territory of Ukraine than he's currently occupied. And so the question for both of the candidates should be, are you going to agree to Putin's terms? Biden hasn't. We've supported Ukraine's aid. Would Trump agree to Putin's terms?
Let me ask you, if I can, about this broadly. The president has seen a big erosion as it relates to young voters that you've been speaking to a lot in your campaigning. Here, specifically as it relates to the war in Gaza, you said back in February that even if President Biden were to bring about a ceasefire in Gaza, there would still need to be a healing period before Democrats, these young voters, may be able to come back and be comfortable with his leadership again. That was 4 months ago. Is the president running out of time to win back some of these young voters?
Well, the biggest thing we're running out of time is more people dying, and we have to remember the humanitarian stakes. But yes, it's a challenge for our party. Young people want the war to end, but what young people want is a vision, and the president started that with a ceasefire. I hope he can go further, and he should call for 2 states. He should say in his second term he's going to convene a peace conference in the Middle East, recognize a Palestinian state without Hamas, work with Egypt, Saudi Arabia on it.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I want to ask you about a couple other topics quickly on policy, on immigration. Republicans tanked the bipartisan border security bill, as you know. So the president recently took executive action to restrict the number of migrants who can seek asylum who are entering the United States. You're among many Democrats who have been critical of this policy. An ACLU lawsuit says the president's plan is, quote, legally indistinguishable from the Trump ban. Do you agree?
I don't think it's the right policy. I understand the president's frustration. He has tried for 3 years, not 6 months, 3 years to get Congress to fund immigration judges, border patrol. We haven't done it. But this is not going to solve the issue because you have an artificial cap and people are basically going to go to gangs and come through non-port of entries. And we don't want to have that situation on the border.
Let me ask you about Hunter Biden. He was convicted on gun charges this week. He'll be back in the court on tax charges in California, as you know, later this year, even though Hunter Biden is not on the ballot. The case this fall could raise some potentially damaging details about Hunter Biden's business dealings. How concerned should Democrats be about another high-profile trial in the waning weeks of this campaign season?
It won't be an issue because Democrats actually believe in the rule of law. You asked Representative Donalds, would you accept the Trump case even if it went to an appeal? He didn't say yes. I would accept it if it was overturned, and I accept whatever the judicial process is with Hunter Biden. This is really about a father's love for his son, of someone who has had addiction, and he understands that he will have legal consequences, and the president is prepared to deal with that with the love of a father. On Father's Day, I think that's what's going to come out, the president's love and concern for someone who's had a difficult time.
Just a few weeks from now, not even a few weeks from now, 11 days from now, we're going to see Donald Trump and Joe Biden together on stage at the debate. Mr. Trump just turned 78 this past week. Joe Biden, as you know, is 81 years old. But according to our polling, Americans are much more concerned about President Biden's mental and physical fitness than they are about Donald Trump's. Why is that?
Some of it is aesthetic. I mean, Donald Trump has been blessed with good genes and or whatever he does. But I think that the real issue is the president always delivers in big moments. He did in the State of the Union. And people are going to see the difference. Does Donald Trump want to give up part of Ukraine? Does he want to have tariffs that are going to increase prices for folks? President Biden has brought back manufacturing and factories. How many factories did Donald Trump bring back? Let's have a debate about the different visions of America.
Let me ask you finally about your future. When you were recently in New Hampshire, a local Democrat there introduced you, sir, as a fifth member of their delegation because you have been there so often. Is a presidential bid something that you would consider in the future?
I'm so focused, as is everyone, on trying to get President Biden elected, but I will say this country is hungry after that for a new generation, and we've got tremendous talent in our party, and there's young people on the other side as well, and I'm looking forward, after President Biden is reelected, to a new generation leading this country.
Congressman Ro Khanna, we appreciate your time. Happy Father's Day again to you. And when we come back, neither Donald Trump nor Joe Biden has debated in more than 1,300 days. Their last debate performance against one another nearly 4 years ago. Both men facing unique challenges as they prepare for their first 2024 showdown. The panel is next.
We just want to have enough money for retirement.
And travel to visit our grandchildren.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we start by getting to know each other, so I can learn about your family, lifestyle, goals and needs, allowing us to tailor your portfolio.
What about commission-based products?
We don't sell those. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in your best interest.
So how do your management fees work?
We have a simple management fee based on the value of your portfolio. So we do better when you do better.
We appreciate that kind of transparency.
We also check in with you regularly to keep you up to date on the markets and your portfolio.
Well, what other services do you offer?
As a client, you have access to resources on investing, financial planning, estate planning, social security, Medicare, and more.
Wow, sounds like Fisher Investments has everything we need.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Whatever happened to Tony Horton, the guy who created the revolutionary P90X?
2017, I was knocked down. A very rare type of shingles that went straight into my brain. My body was completely wasting away. I started researching everything related to building my muscle back again. That's when I learned about the potential of HMB plus vitamin D3 and what they can do when it comes to helping build new muscle.
So Tony developed high-impact protein by Power Life.
Just add 1 scoop of high-impact protein to a glass of water or your morning smoothie and enjoy the effects of that boss molecule and factory worker combination, reshaping giving your body each and every day more energy, burn more fat, and probably drop a few pounds along the way.
High-impact protein by Power Life is a tasty once-a-day powder that comes in either whey or plant protein. Go to mypowerlife.com and use code ORGANIC to save 30%. Tony even offers a 90-day guarantee. Go to mypowerlife.com or text ORGANIC to 511-511 today.
All individuals are unique. Your results can and will vary. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Message and data rates may apply.
Westwood One Sports presents this special report on the 124th U.S. Open Golf Championship, sponsored by Weber Grills. Get the griddle that stays ready, not rusty. Fire up the Weber Slate rust-resistant griddle. Bryson DeChambeau is in search of his second U.S. Open title today. He's at 7 under after 67 on Saturday. That's good for a 3-shot lead entering the final round. He's been close at majors this year. At Augusta, he was the co-leader after 36 holes and finished tied for 6th. At the PGA last month, he was 2 shots off the lead into the final round, and he was the runner-up after a final round 64, minus 20, and not good enough to win it. The conditions today in the 90s at Pinehurst. It should be firm and fast for the final round of the U.S. Open at Pinehurst number 2. With this report on the U.S. Open, I'm Whit Watson, Westwood One Sports.
Because you want to hear bacon and eggs on your outdoor griddle, not the scraping of rust. Introducing the Weber Slate rust-resistant griddle. Stays ready, not rusty, with a carbon steel cooktop, pre-seasoned and ready to cook on right out of the box. The Weber Slate heats evenly edge to edge up to 500 degrees. All you'll hear is the gasp of amazement from friends and family when you serve the food. Cooking with the Weber Slate rust-resistant griddle just sounds delicious and tastes even better.
Are you the parent of a 2 to 7-year-old? Listen closely for an exciting free radio offer. By now, you've probably heard of ABC Mouse, the Parents' Choice Award-winning online learning program that's actually changing the lives of early learners everywhere.
ABC Mouse is like a little one-on-one teacher. It has helped her so much.
Right now, we're offering a special radio promo to try it free for a month. But you have to go to abcmouse.com/radio to claim your free month. That's abcmouse.com/radio. Sponsored by Age of Learning.
7-0.
Welcome back. The panel is here. NBC News Washington correspondent Yamiche Alcindor, Jonathan Martin, Politics Bureau Chief and Senior Political Columnist for Politico, bow tie, strong today. Jonathan, former Congresswoman Stephanie Murphy of Florida, and Mark Short, the former Chief of Staff to Vice President Mike Pence. Yamiche, let me start with you on some of your reporting. We know access to abortion pills remains legal after the Supreme Court this week sent the issue back to a lower court. But the White House is making the point that this issue is not done. You have new reporting for us on the Biden campaign's plans to lean into the topic of reproductive rights. What can you tell us?
That's right. I got exclusive details on what really is going to be a robust messaging campaign by the Biden campaign to really focus on abortion. They see this as a uniquely mobilizing issue. So they're going to be holding something like 30 events, more than 30 events in battleground cities across this country. And they're going to be making the case that really Joe Biden is the one that's going to keep women safe, and that former President Donald Trump put a number of women in danger because he was the one who nominated the justices to overturn Roe v. Wade. And they're also going to be rolling out a number of different things, including ads featuring women telling personal stories. I actually talked to one of the women who's going to be part of this, Caitlin Cash. She lives in Austin, Texas, and she had to flee the state of Texas after she learned at 13 weeks that the fetus she was carrying had a fatal birth defect. She tells me that she's going to be wanting to empower women, because part of this is also going to be training women to tell their own stories. So the Biden campaign is really going to be leaning in on this, especially because it's coming just a few days before that first debate between, of course, Trump and Biden.
Yeah, and in conjunction with the second anniversary of the Dobbs decision, as you know, Jonathan, to you, Mr. Trump has said that Republicans shouldn't be talking about abortion this week behind closed doors with Republicans. He said they should be talking about it more. What is the way forward for Republicans on this topic?
To avoid it. No, look, I think if Donald Trump and the party leaders had their druthers, they would talk about immigration, inflation, and Joe Biden's age. every day and twice on Sundays. I think that's going to be their preference. Look, there's no unified strategy on the abortion issue in the GOP, which is why they want to avoid it. It's been a political loser for them since the Dobbs issue came down. I think they're going to try to avoid it. The challenge for Democrats, of course, is that Joe Biden isn't comfortable talking about the issue and never has been, which is why I think you're going to see surrogates largely press that issue for the Biden campaign.
Of course, the other big moment, Mark, as you know, is the debate coming up now 11 days away. The first time, as we did the math, that either of them have participated in a debate in 1,300 plus days here. Who has more at stake?
I think Joe Biden does. I think there are greater questions about his stamina and his fragility. And I think the reality is, regardless of Trump's performance, his support's going to be the same. But I think that for Joe Biden as well, he presented himself 4 years ago as a candidate who would bring back normalcy and the drama. I think for a lot of voters, you look out there and you see war in Eastern Europe, war in the Middle East, chaos at our border, chaos on college campuses, inflation driving our economy. And if they want assurance that he's capable for this, he needs to have a strong performance.
Stephanie, is Joe Biden up to the task in that debate?
I think he has an opportunity in this debate to address the two key concerns voters have about him. One is age, and the second is handling of the economy. On age, he needs to show up like he did for the State of the Union and give a fiery presentation and really take Donald Trump on. And then on the economy, he has to actually connect with people about their concerns over cost and kind of pivot from where he has been, which is to try to convince them that his policies have been good and that things are okay. That isn't working. So he has an opportunity to turn the page here and make a big difference.
If I could, though, I would say on the issue of abortion, I mean, this is uniquely mobilizing, the Biden campaign says, and they think that because polls after polls and in interviews that I've done with voters, they say abortion, even if it's their top issue, it's an issue that's going to motivate how they actually vote.
So it's on the ballot in key states, including Arizona, some of these key swing states.
Yeah.